Let's get up and running with Node.js. In this video, we can talk about two different ways to install Node.js. The first way, which is probably the easiest, is not the way that I'm ultimately going to recommend, but I'll cover it right now. You can go to nodejs.org, and it will automatically detect which operating system you're on and suggest either the long-term support version or the current version. The LTS is pretty suitable for production apps because it's basically the tried and true version, whereas the current version is the latest features, but it might not be as stable. I particularly like the current version. It's usually good enough for my needs, but if I were working on a serious production app, I would definitely use the LTS version. However, the real way that I want you guys to install Node is through NVM. Now, if you Google NVM, the GitHub link should probably be near the top, and that's the one that you want. But NVM stands for Node Version Manager, and it takes you to this GitHub page where you can install the entire program with just one simple curl command. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it. So I already have it installed, so you'll probably get a different message than me, but the important thing is to install it and then copy this export command and run it. And then after that, you should have NVM all set up, or NVM, sorry. So NVM -- help. If you're able to run this, then you've installed it successfully. This can basically tell you everything that you can do with NVM. The most important commands are probably nvm install node, which installs the latest current version. You can also do nvm install a specific version number. So for example, 8.1.2 or something. You can do nvm ls to list the versions that you have installed, and nvm current, which tells you which version you're using. nvm current is also a wrapper around the node-v flag, so you can check when you use the node command which version is it pointing to, and they should always line up. One thing I do want to mention before we move on is that with NVM, your packages that you install for one version of Node will not automatically transfer to the other one, but you can transfer them by doing nvm install node -- reinstall packages from Node. This will work if you're on the latest version and you're just installing packages onto the latest version again. But you can also substitute this with like 5, for example, and 6, like specific versions of Node. So that's pretty handy. There's also an nvm reinstall packages command if you forget to do it while you're installing the new one. Cool. So now that we have NVM set up, let's actually try out Node. So Node provides us a command line interface for JavaScript, just like the dev tools in our browser provide a console interface for JavaScript. But now we actually have JS installed on our machine, which is pretty cool. So for example, I can go into Node just by typing node, and then there's a little greater than sign, which just indicates that you're in the Node console. And now all valid JavaScript commands can get executed here. So I can just hello world, and it prints it out. Don't worry about this undefined. This is pretty much the default for functions that don't return anything. And I think console.log just kind of has a side effect where it prints out output, but it does not actually return a value. But I can actually show you. Let's write a function in the command line here. So when I put a brace, it automatically indents and it realizes that the expression is not complete yet. So I can console.log a plus b, Actually, let's console.log just A and B, and then let's return A plus B. And undefined because the result of like declaring a function is undefined. It's kind of weird, but you can kind of just ignore that for now. And then here, this function actually has a return value, so undefined is not being returned, but 15 is. So the great thing about this REPL basically is that you can test any kind of JavaScript that you might have questions about. For example, what is 10 mod 3? Or what is this in Node? It prints out the whole global object, basically. So it's pretty handy to just have JavaScript all locally without any internet or anything, or browser. To get out of the Node REPL, you can just type .exit. Now, the actual way that we're going to be running most JavaScript commands is by executing files. So let's just create a main.js, and then I'll open this in my text editor. So in this file, I'm just going to declare a function, say hi, and it will console.log hello world. That's what they always do. Now, if I run this right now, it's not actually going to do anything because there's no executable code. It's just a function declaration. But if I call the function in the file, then I have some executable code, so I can node main.js, and it will actually execute it. So this can be really handy when you're writing scripts for the command line. For example, processing JSON, or reading a CSV and outputting something, or all kinds of basic network operations. Node is pretty good at that as a general purpose scripting tool. But it's also going to be essential when we start writing our servers. We're going to be running them using the node command and then server.js. Anyway, this is just getting up and running with Node, and that's pretty much it for this video. And next we'll talk about common JS modules. Thanks.